This lesson is on solving inequalities. So solving for inequality is very similar to solving for x that we did with the algebra tiles. So if you need to look at the lesson using algebra tiles, doing one-step, two-step, or multi-step equations, go ahead and look at that video. When we solve for a variable, you always want to use the opposite of PEMDAS. So PEMDAS stands for parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So when we're solving for a variable, the first thing you're looking for is there any addition or subtraction in the problem? If there are, then that's the one you're going to work on first. If there is no addition or subtraction, then you would look for the multiplication and division. Then we would look for exponents and parentheses last. So that's the steps that you want to follow when solving for a variable. Now, inequality, this is a brand new thing for most of us. The first important thing is knowing how to read the variable. So you have to read the variable to the number. And I say this because depending on which side the x is and also the sign of the inequality sign, it will change the reading. So for example, in this case right here, I have x right here is on the left-hand side, and I also have x on the right-hand side, which is read exactly the same way. So as this says, read from the variable to the number. So from the variable going towards the number, I would say x is greater than 4 right here. But on the opposite end, if I'm reading from the variable to the number, I'm reading it as x is greater than, because there's an open mouth kind of thing right there, than 4 right there. So again, it depends on where x is and what the inequality sign is, that's going to determine whether it's going to be greater than or less than. Okay, next try another one. So the next one is x is less than. So if you're going towards the number, there's a little closed nose thing right there. So that's going to be less than 4 right there. And then opposite direction, this is x is less than 4 right here. We also have is x is greater than or equal to. Notice there's a little line underneath this part right here, equal to. So equal to 5, or x is greater than or equal to 5 if you read it from that direction. Next one is x is less than or equal to 5. And then the last one we have is when x is not equal to 7. So this is a new symbol as well, the not equal to right here. So normally we have an equal to sign right there. If we have a line going through it, it's saying it's not equal to. So that's one thing you also have to learn about, is how to read the sign. So there's a lot of steps to doing this when we solve for inequalities, because you have to solve for it and then you also need to graph it. So when we graph it, you're going to graph it on a number line. So the number line, think of it as being on the x-axis. Whatever that symbol is, whether it be greater than or less than, when it's this symbol right here, you're going to have this thing called an open circle. So open circle on the solution of wherever that number is right here. If you have greater than or equal to right here, or less than or equal to, then your solution is going to have a closed circle right here. And so wherever that may be right here on this number line, we're going to have a closed circle. The other thing that we talked about was that greater than or less than. So when it's greater than, you're going to point it towards the right-hand side, because if you notice, if wherever your solution may be, greater than, if it's going this direction, the numbers are getting larger and larger, so that reason being it's going to be greater than. However, on the other end, when it's less than, that means it's going towards the left side, because when you go towards the left side, you're going to get larger and larger on the negative number, so that's why it's less than. So let's try some examples. So the first example I have is x minus 5 is less than or equal to 2. Notice I said x minus 5 is less than, right? Because there's a little nose right there. Less than or equal to 2. So then using our rule, we said PEMDAS, we're looking for any addition or subtraction. If we find any addition or subtraction, that's the first thing you do. So I see minus 5. So we're going to do the opposite of minus 5, which is then adding 5 on both sides. So then you should have is x is less than or equal to 7. So now let's graph this on a number line. So we mentioned about being less than or equal to would have to be a closed circle. So I have a closed circle at 7 on the number line right here. And because we also said x is less than or equal to 7, less than we said from here, direction-wise, would go to the left side right there. Okay, so that is what is expected. So you have to do the algebra part right here, which is the solving, and you also have to do it graphically, which is on the number line right there. All right, let's try another example. We have as 4y is greater than or equal to 16. So using the PEMDAS, I don't have any addition and subtraction in this case, but I do have is a multiplication because it's 4 times y. So the opposite of 4 times y is to divide. So we're going to divide by 4 on both sides. So y is greater than or equal to 4. So on the number line, it's going to be 4 is the solution, and y is greater than or equal to, so we're going towards the right side. Next example, so using PEMDAS again, I'm looking for is addition or subtraction. So I see with the minus 3, we're going to get rid of that first. The opposite of minus 3 is to add 3. So we're going to add 3 on both sides. So we have is 5y is less than 30. So next is multiplication and division. So I see 5 times y. So we're going to do the opposite, which is divide by 5 on both sides. So then y is less than 6. So on a number line right there, we have is 6. Now notice this, in this case, it's just y is less than. There is no equal to sign. So on the 6, we're going to have is an open circle. And then less than is going towards the left side right there. Last example, we have is n divided by 2 plus 6 is less than 7. So using PEMDAS, I'm looking for addition and subtraction. I see plus 6, so we're going to go ahead and subtract 6 on both sides. We have is n divided by 2 is less than 1. And then the last part we have is n divided by. So the opposite of divide is multiply, so we're going to multiply both sides by 2. So we have is n is less than 2. On the number line, we're going to go ahead and do an open circle at 2 because there is no equal to sign underneath it. And n is less than, which is to the left side right there. So that is the lesson on inequalities. So your first step is to solve for it. Then after you solve for it, you have to graph it out.